Well, Lorna Shaddick joins us now from New York with more on all of this. Lorna, how has this gone down then with the president and more generally across the country?
Well, you heard there, of course, the president speaking at that rally in Nashville, Tennessee. And you'll remember that when the first executive order was blocked, he got into a bit of trouble for his tweet, in which he very angrily criticised the particular judge who made that decision to block the first executive order, with many saying that the president should not be criticising the independent judiciary. But he did sort of seem to do that again, in a slightly more subtle way, perhaps, as well after this particular decision. He did say, "I have to be nice or I'll get criticised," but then went on to say that the decision was, in the opinion of many, an unprecedented judicial overreach, and hinted that it might be politically motivated. And he also criticised the Ninth Circuit Court, which made this decision. And that might make things a little bit difficult, in fact, for his Supreme Court nominee, Neil Gorsuch, who starts confirmation hearings next week. But in the meantime, Mr. Trump clearly not really changing his tune or his approach, vowing to keep fighting and criticising the judiciary once again. However, on the other hand, of course, immigration rights advocates and Muslim groups have been celebrating what they see as a victory here. One group, Muslim advocates, which filed an amicus brief as part of that case in Hawaii, applauded the decision. They said the country and the courts have spoken. The Muslim ban is wrong. And the Attorney General in Washington, which was another state fighting against this order, said it was fantastic news and very exciting. So really shows just how split the US is on this particular decision.
You mentioned there the nominee for the Supreme Court, Neil Gorsuch. How does that process complicate Trump's plans to go to the Supreme Court over this issue?
Well, at the moment, of course, the Supreme Court is tied with eight justices rather than 9. It's very unlikely that Neil Gorsuch will be confirmed very quickly. This is quite a long process, but in the meantime, the process of taking this to the Supreme Court, if that even happens, would take a long time, because it's not necessarily clear what the way forward is from here. And perhaps the White House will be waiting, or will the Department of Justice in the US will be waiting for direction on this from the White House. There is potentially a long road ahead, but it's not necessarily the final word, what we've seen in Hawaii. That was a request for a temporary restraining order, and that required the judge there to assess whether the challenges of this ban would ultimately succeed. He decided that they would. The Justice Department could decide to appeal that. And what is interesting is that the judge there quoted the president's words against him. He said that on the campaign trail, Mr. Trump effectively referred to this as a Muslim ban, proving that indeed this was religiously motivated and therefore against the Constitution. Now, if the Justice Department decides to appeal, they may have to prove somehow that that wasn't the case. And the states have already said, right, well, we're going to subpoena loads of documents and get various witnesses in from the White House to expose just how this order was put together. That could involve emails and documents being scrutinized quite publicly for quite a long time, something that we know this administration would be extremely unhappy about. So a long road ahead, and they've got to decide whether they've got the stomach for that kind of a fight.
OK, Lorna, thank you.